Picture this. You're driving home after a long day, stomach growling, and those golden arches appear like a beacon in the distance. Before you know it, you're in the drive-thru ordering that familiar combo meal. Sound familiar? Well, you're not alone. The average person visits fast food restaurants over 150 times per year, and a huge chunk of those visits involve one particular red and yellow establishment that shall remain nameless for now. But what if I told you that your next bite might contain ingredients you'd never knowingly put in your mouth? What if those crispy, perfectly uniform products sitting under heat lamps have secrets that would make you question everything you thought you knew about fast food? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on an industry that's mastered the art of making processed food look, taste, and feel like the real deal. My friend Sarah discovered something disturbing last month. She found a burger in her car glove compartment from 6 weeks ago. The terrifying part wasn't that she forgot about it. It was that the thing looked exactly the same as the day she bought it. No mold, no funky smell, nothing. Meanwhile, the homemade sandwich she made 3 days earlier was already growing a science experiment in her fridge. This got me thinking, what exactly are we eating when we think we're grabbing a quick, convenient meal? The rabbit hole I went down researching this topic will shock you. We're talking about ingredients that sound like they belong in a chemistry lab, not on your dinner plate. Food scientists have discovered preservation techniques so advanced that your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize half the items on modern fast food ingredient lists. A former food industry insider recently revealed to me that what we consider normal fast food today would have been considered inedible 50 years ago. The transformation happened gradually, so slowly that most people never noticed. It's like watching your hair grow. You don't see it happening day by day, but suddenly you need a haircut. Let's start with something that seems innocent enough, the bun. You'd think bread is bread, right? Flour, water, yeast, maybe some salt and sugar. But grab your reading glasses because the ingredient list for a standard fast food bun reads like a pharmaceutical manual. We're talking about calcium sulfate, sodium stearoyl lactylate, and azotocarbonamide, a chemical that's banned in Europe and Australia but perfectly legal in American food production. That last ingredient, azotocarbonamide, is particularly interesting. It's used to make yoga mats and shoe rubber more elastic. The same chemical that gives your yoga mat that perfect bounce is also what makes your burger buns soft and squishy. Food manufacturers argue it's safe in small doses, but here's the kicker. When heated, it breaks down into compounds that have been linked to respiratory issues. A baker who worked for a major food supplier told me they receive pre-mixed bags of ingredients that create identical buns every single time. No variation, no character, just mathematical precision. These buns can sit on shelves for weeks without spoiling, which is great for business, but raises questions about what we're actually consuming. But the bun is just the foundation. Let's talk about what goes between those unnaturally soft slices. The meat patty, that cornerstone of the American burger experience, has undergone its own transformation. While companies proudly advertise 100% beef, they don't tell you about the journey that meat takes before it reaches your tray. Modern meat processing involves techniques that would make your local butcher's head spin. The beef gets ground up, mixed with various additives, formed into perfect circles, frozen, shipped across the country, and then cooked on a grill that's programmed to deliver identical results every time. It's like assembly line manufacturing, but for something you put in your mouth. What really blew my mind was learning about flavor engineering. These companies employ teams of food scientists whose job is to create taste profiles that trigger specific responses in your brain. They study which combinations of salt, sugar, and fat create the strongest cravings. It's not just about making food that tastes good, it's about making food that makes you want more food. The pickle situation is particularly fascinating. Those perfectly uniform, tangy little discs aren't just regular pickles that happen to taste the same everywhere. They're engineered to have specific levels of acidity, crunch, and flavor intensity. A food scientist explained to me that the pickle's job isn't just to add flavor, it's to cut through the richness of the meat and cheese, cleansing your palate so you can taste each bite as intensely as the first one. Even the cheese deserves its own investigation. That perfectly melted, bright orange square isn't quite what you'd call traditional cheese. It's a cheese product, which means it starts with real cheese but then gets mixed with emulsifiers, preservatives, and colorings to create something that melts uniformly and never separates. Traditional cheese can be unpredictable. Sometimes it melts perfectly, sometimes it gets oily or clumpy. But engineered cheese products eliminate that variability. The color alone tells a story. Real cheddar cheese ranges from white to pale yellow, depending on the cow's diet and the season. But that bright orange hue? That comes from annatto, a natural coloring agent that's added to create a visual consistency. The psychology behind this is brilliant. That orange color has become so associated with cheese in our minds that pale yellow cheese actually looks wrong to many people. Speaking of psychology, let's talk about those famous fries. They're probably the most engineered item on the entire menu, and that's saying something. The process starts with specific potato varieties chosen not for taste, but for their ability to maintain consistent texture and appearance after processing. These potatoes get washed, cut, partially cooked, frozen, shipped, and then finished in specially designed fryers. But here's where it gets really interesting. Those fries are coated with ingredients that serve specific purposes beyond flavor. There are anti-foaming agents to prevent the oil from bubbling over, preservatives to maintain color, and texture enhancers to ensure every fry has that perfect crispy exterior and fluffy interior. A former employee told me they received training on exactly how long to leave fries in the oil, how much salt to add, and even how to arrange them in the container for maximum visual appeal. The oil itself is another marvel of food engineering. It's not just any oil, it's a carefully formulated blend designed to withstand high temperatures, resist breakdown, and impart specific flavors. The oil gets filtered and treated with additives to extend its life because changing fryer oil too frequently would hurt profit margins. What's most remarkable is how all these individual engineered components come together to create an experience that feels natural and satisfying. The soft bun that doesn't fall apart, the perfectly seasoned meat that tastes the same whether you're in Maine or California, the cheese that melts just right, the pickles that provide the exact amount of tang, and the fries that deliver that perfect combination of salt and crunch. It's like a symphony where every instrument has been fine-tuned to create a specific emotional response. And just like a well-composed piece of music, you don't consciously notice all the individual elements. You just know that something about the whole experience keeps drawing you back. The question is, when does food engineering cross the line from innovation to manipulation? And what happens to our bodies when we regularly consume products that are more science project than traditional food? The most unsettling part of this whole investigation came when I started looking into what happens inside our bodies when we consume these engineered foods on a regular basis. A nutritionist who's worked with thousands of clients told me something that made my jaw drop. She said that people who eat fast food regularly develop what she calls flavor amnesia. Their taste buds literally forget what real food tastes like. Think about it. When was the last time you bit into a homegrown tomato and thought it tasted as good as the one on your burger? Probably never, right? That's because your palate has been trained to expect intense, artificial flavors. Real food starts tasting bland by comparison. It's like turning down the volume on a stereo and then wondering why everything sounds quiet. This flavor manipulation goes deeper than most people realize. Food scientists have identified something called the bliss point, the exact combination of sugar, salt, and fat that triggers the strongest pleasure response in your brain. Every major fast food item is carefully calibrated to hit this sweet spot. It's not an accident that you finish a meal and immediately start thinking about when you can have another one. A former food lab technician shared something with me that completely changed how I think about cravings. She said they don't just test how food tastes, they test how it makes people feel emotionally. They measure stress hormones, dopamine levels, and even brain activity while people eat. The goal isn't just satisfaction, it's creating a psychological dependence, but the physical effects are even more concerning. Dr. Martinez, a gastroenterologist I spoke with, explained that highly processed foods actually change the bacteria in your gut. Your digestive system becomes optimized for breaking down artificial ingredients instead of natural nutrients. This means even when you try to eat healthy, your body struggles to extract nutrition from real food. The scariest part? These changes can happen faster than you'd think. Studies show that just 2 weeks of eating primarily processed foods can alter your gut microbiome significantly. Your body literally adapts to expect and process artificial ingredients more efficiently than natural ones. This explains why people who try to quit fast food often experience withdrawal-like symptoms. Headaches, irritability, intense cravings. It's not just in their heads. Their bodies have become chemically dependent on the specific combinations of processed ingredients. A friend of mine who's a biochemist broke it down like this. Imagine your digestive system is like a factory. For millions of years, this factory was designed to process natural materials, fruits, vegetables, simple grains, unprocessed meat. But over the past 50 years, we've been feeding it synthetic materials that require completely different processing methods. The factory adapts because it has to, but it becomes less efficient at handling the original materials it was designed for. So when you try to go back to eating natural foods, your system struggles. The apple doesn't taste as sweet because your taste receptors are calibrated for artificial sweetness. The homemade soup seems bland because your sodium receptors expect the intense saltiness of processed foods. What's particularly devious is how this creates a cycle. The more processed food you eat, the less appealing natural food becomes. And the less appealing natural food becomes, the more you rely on processed alternatives. It's like being trapped in a maze where every path leads you deeper inside instead of toward the exit. The beverage situation is just as manipulated. Those perfectly carbonated soft drinks aren't just sugar water with bubbles. The carbonation level is precisely calibrated to enhance flavor perception. The acidity is adjusted to balance sweetness. Even the temperature at which they're served is calculated to maximize taste impact. A beverage industry insider told me they spend millions studying how different levels of carbonation affect the way flavors hit your tongue. Too little carbonation and the drink tastes flat. Too much and it overpowers the other flavors. They've found the exact sweet spot that makes each sip as satisfying as possible. But here's what really got my attention: the ice. Even something as simple as ice cubes is engineered for maximum profit. The machines are calibrated to produce ice that melts at a specific rate, diluting your drink just enough to make you want to buy another one, but not so much that you notice immediately. The cup size psychology is another masterclass in manipulation. Those massive drink sizes aren't just about value, they're about changing your perception of normal portions. When a 32-ounce drink becomes standard, a 12-ounce can suddenly feel inadequate. Your brain recalibrates what it considers a proper serving size. This portion distortion affects everything. The burger that would have fed 2 people in 1960 is now considered a regular meal. Fries that were once shared between friends are now individual portions. Your stomach physically stretches to accommodate these larger quantities, and then smaller, normal-sized meals leave you feeling unsatisfied. A behavioral psychologist explained to me that this isn't accidental. Fast food companies employ teams of experts who study human psychology specifically to maximize consumption. They know that people eat with their eyes first, so they engineer visual cues that trigger appetite. They understand that certain textures make food feel more satisfying, so they manipulate consistency and crunch. Even the packaging is designed to influence your eating behavior. The rustling sound of the wrapper, the way the container opens, the visual presentation of the food, every detail is calculated to enhance the experience and encourage repeat visits. The most brilliant psychological trick might be the speed of service. Everything is designed to be fast and convenient, which creates the illusion that this is just a quick, harmless indulgence. But that convenience comes at a cost that most people don't see until it's too late. The efficiency of the operation masks the complexity of what's actually happening to your body. You drive up, order, pay, and drive away in under 5 minutes. It feels simple and innocent. But behind that simplicity is a sophisticated system designed to keep you coming back, regardless of the long-term consequences to your health. What really opened my eyes was talking to a former marketing executive who worked for one of these companies for over a decade. She told me about something called habit stacking, deliberately creating rituals around food consumption that become automatic behaviors. The morning coffee run, the afternoon snack break, the late-night drive-through visit, these aren't random cravings. They're carefully cultivated habits. The genius lies in how they attach their products to existing routines in your life. Feeling stressed at work? There's a convenient solution just 5 minutes away. Kids acting up in the back seat? Pull into the drive-thru and suddenly everyone's happy. Running late for an appointment? Grab something quick that you can eat with one hand while driving. They've essentially programmed themselves into the fabric of modern life. A behavioral analyst I interviewed said it's like installing software in people's brains that automatically runs certain programs when specific conditions are met. Tired equals drive-thru. Celebrating equals special meal. Socializing with kids equals playground and happy meals. The breakfast menu deserves special attention because it represents the ultimate infiltration of your daily routine. By convincing people that processed breakfast sandwiches and hash browns are normal morning foods, they've captured the most important meal of your day. Your grandmother probably started her morning with oatmeal, eggs from actual chickens, and maybe some fruit. Now, millions of people start their day with food that's been engineered in laboratories. The hash browns are particularly fascinating from a food science perspective. Real hash browns are just shredded potatoes cooked in oil until crispy. But these triangular patties are created from dehydrated potato flakes, reformed with binding agents, partially cooked, frozen, and then finished in specially formulated oil. They're designed to have identical texture, flavor, and appearance every single time. A food technologist explained to me that consistency is everything in this business. Customers might say they want variety, but what they really want is predictability. They want to know that their favorite item will taste exactly the same, whether they're in their hometown or on the other side of the country. This predictability comes at a cost that goes beyond just nutrition. When you eat the same engineered flavors repeatedly, your palate becomes narrow. You lose the ability to appreciate subtle differences in natural foods. Real potatoes start tasting boring because they don't have the intense salt and artificial flavoring your taste buds have learned to expect. The breakfast beverage situation is equally concerning. Those coffee drinks aren't just coffee with cream and sugar. They're precisely formulated to deliver specific amounts of caffeine, sugar, and fat in ratios that maximize both immediate satisfaction and long-term dependency. The coffee itself often comes from instant powder rather than freshly brewed beans, mixed with artificial creamers and flavor syrups. A former barista told me about the training they received on creating these drinks. It wasn't about coffee craftsmanship. It was about following exact measurements and timing to produce identical results. The machines do most of the work, ensuring that human error can't interfere with the carefully calculated formulas. But perhaps the most insidious aspect of this whole system is how it's normalized unhealthy relationships with food. When eating becomes about convenience rather than nourishment, when flavors are engineered rather than natural, when portion sizes are determined by profit margins rather than human needs, we lose touch with what eating is supposed to be. A nutritional anthropologist I spoke with pointed out that humans evolved over millions of years eating foods that came directly from nature. Our digestive systems, our taste preferences, our satiety signals, everything was designed around whole, unprocessed foods. But in just 50 years, we've completely upended this system. The result is that many people have never experienced what it feels like to be properly nourished. They've only known the quick energy spike followed by the inevitable crash that comes from engineered foods. They've never felt the steady, sustained energy that comes from eating nutrients that your body actually recognizes and can use efficiently. The children's menu represents perhaps the most troubling aspect of this entire system. By introducing highly processed, artificially flavored foods to kids at a young age, these companies are literally programming the next generation's taste preferences. Children who grow up eating chicken nuggets made from mechanically separated poultry, mixed with binding agents and artificial flavors, will find real chicken boring by comparison. So here we are, staring down the reality of what modern fast food has become. From yoga mat chemicals in burger buns to engineered addiction cycles that hijack your brain's reward system, we've uncovered a food system that's more laboratory experiment than actual nourishment. The 6-week-old burger that looks fresh as day one, the fries that defy the laws of decomposition, the drinks calibrated to make you crave another sip. It's all part of a sophisticated machine designed to keep you coming back, regardless of what it does to your body. But knowledge is power, and now you have it. The next time you're driving past those golden arches, remember what's really behind that convenient facade. Your taste buds might be programmed to crave those engineered flavors, but your body deserves better than chemistry experiments disguised as meals. The choice is yours. You can keep feeding the machine, or you can start feeding yourself real food again. Your gut bacteria, your energy levels, and your long-term health will thank you for making the harder but healthier choice.